Damn, Halsey, that song's so good, it's so good. I can't stop listening. I love the lyrics, love the story behind it, and the instrumental, just amazing. I can tell they gave every detail a lot of attention, like that reverse piano in the verses. And the wobbly synthesizers in the background filling the gaps. By the way, I'm Thales, and I think this song is a masterpiece. And of course, Max Martin had to be involved in the production. So I decided to remake it. I'm addicted to this thing. I was craving that. And it was like a personal challenge for me. If I can recreate that emotion, that atmosphere, I'm good for like a month. That's how I get my fix. So I did it using mostly stock effects from Ableton Live, so everyone can follow along no matter what plugins you own. And you can download the project for free, the link is in the description below. Watch this video until the end because I'm gonna show you every detail, every sound I used, trying to get as close as possible to the original instrumental. You can listen to the whole thing in the last section of this video, but here's a quick preview.
And I was hoping you would tell it was over. What I think about and everywhere I know it's bad, but we could be stronger.
And to get that right, the first step was to invite a great singer to help me. So today we're featuring my friend Maria, and before we start the production tutorial, I'd like to introduce you to her because she played a big part in this. Hi Maria, how are you doing?
Hey Thales.
Thank you for learning that so fast. You did great. I can't believe you learned that in just 2 days or so, and you managed to record with your phone.
Thank you so much for working on this with me. You're amazing, and this has been so much fun.
I met her on the internet, and we're also working on an original song. So Maria, for those who want you to sing their songs, how can they get in touch with you?
For right now, the best place to reach me is my business email, which I will make sure is somewhere in the comments.
Alright, let's take a look at my DAW. The song starts with this beautiful reverse piano, and here's how I remade that. There's this stock preset in Ableton Live called Grand Piano Pad. I set up a MIDI chord progression, and this is the progression that's played throughout most of the song, but with different instruments. B major, D sharp minor, C sharp major. I modulated this piano with a subtle vibrato to give it that vintage sound. And there's also some reverb with the hybrid reverb, which is a combination of convolution and algorithm. And the dry wet knob of the reverb is being controlled by the piano's envelope with this amazing effect called envelope follower. That means the sound is fully dry when each chord hits, but then as it sustains, the reverb slowly grows. It fades in. One of my favorite tricks, and I use this to control several modulation effects in this project to give the instruments that sense of randomness and movement that is so present in the original production. Then I resampled this progression and reversed each chord individually. That's how you get that sound. The second sound that's introduced is an electric guitar playing some notes in the background and letting them ring like they're just drifting in zero gravity. I have one pen to the left side and another to the right side, so we can play different notes at the same time and get a wide stereo image feel. They're both using another stock preset called Guitar Open, the same preset I used to remake As It Was by Harry Styles a few weeks ago. Then the usual combo of compression, equalization, and reverb is present, but what's really interesting here is this auto pan with phase set to 0, creating a tremolo effect. And to emphasize that emotional atmosphere, there's this pad in the background that pumps a little, sounds a bit random, like it wants to morph into something, but it never does. Kind of frustrated, like the lyrics at first. I took this preset called Galactic Pad and used the shaper device to control the volume using this pattern that repeats every bar, so that's why it pumps. It's like using an LFO, but I can draw the pattern however I want. There's also a doubling effect with several parameters being controlled by the envelope. Little bit of wave shaping saturation, tremolo, and it's being band passed with a very narrow band. Now, one of the coolest sounds to try to recreate was this wobbly synthesizer that plays some fills every now and then, so I went a bit crazy with the modulation here. It's the MPE Airy Pad and Sub preset, and there's a doubling effect, an ensemble effect, a square-shaped tremolo effect, and an auto filter like a wah-wah effect, and they're all being controlled by the envelope of the synthesizer and by this LFO. What's fun about this is that the speed ratio of the modulation changes all the time, so it's never boring. There's also a filter sweep to introduce this sound smoothly, and a delay and reverb to place it behind the vocals. I love that thing they did. Another cool effect is this stab that they placed in a downbeat to emphasize the beginning of the second part of the verse. I took a chop of Maria's vocals, increased the pitch by more than an octave, and made it reverberate for a long time. I think that's how they did it. There's some delay, tremolo, and the phaser going on here. But the secret is this shimmer style reverb. It's a reverb that increases the pitch by octaves over time with a very long decay, almost 8 seconds in this case. Then there's this resonating sound that comes out of nowhere during the vocal phrase, almost like a bell, and it's mixed kinda loud. To me, it feels a bit stressful, brings this extra tension, and prepares us for the pre-chorus that's coming, which is a very tense section. It's a stock preset called Bellway with a vibrato, a bandpass EQ, and 2 different reverbs. And to build up even more into the pre-chorus, there's this pumping synthesizer swelling up in volume like a riser effect but with a constant pitch. It's a preset called Professional Nostalgia Pad, and whoever named this thing did a really good job. I used the auto pan for an extreme tremolo effect, another auto pan to make it dance around the stereo field, and a filter sweep. In the pre-chorus, they introduced these delicate keys. This is the oscillation guitar preset, but it's severely bandpassed in the mid-range. That's also when they introduced the bass. I made this with the wavetable synthesizer. It's a triangle wave, but the wave's a bit warped. 7.8%, and I'm using the sub oscillator 1 octave below. And the envelope looks like this. No sustain, very short release, but almost 4 seconds decay. I have several equalizers on the bass track, each one for a specific section of the song, and I also automated certain harmonics to try to match the original song's low end. The last equalizer is simply how I sidechain the subfrequencies to the kick, using the envelope follower so they don't clash. While transitioning to the chorus, there's a noise sweep made with the operator synthesizer. In the Professional Nostalgia Pad, you know the one, he gets an upgrade and now it's swelling up with one of those shimmery reverbs and it's not pumping anymore. Then we get to the chorus and there's this nice acoustic guitar playing a chord progression. F sharp major, C sharp major, D sharp minor, then F sharp major, C sharp major, D sharp minor, and B, then D sharp minor, C sharp major, B, then D sharp minor, C sharp major, B major, and C sharp major. I know it's a lot to memorize, right? Then there's another cute synth sound in the background playing a counter melody. I made it with wavetable, something between a saw and a square wave. Then it's bandpassed, modulated with a phaser and a bit of reverb. And the chorus ends with this synth lick. I called it organ at first, but then I distorted it and turned it into something else I can't really explain, so check it out. The second verse uses the same elements we've already covered, so let's skip ahead to the second pre-chorus where they introduce a mute guitar playing this rhythm. This time it's the mute guitar preset with a delay. This rack I made to widen it, and the usual stuff. There's also a stab in the first downbeat of the pre-chorus, which I think they placed just to create some impact. So I'm using the Horn Dweller preset with wave shaping distortion, playing a bunch of notes very briefly, but they reverberate forever. The bridge section has a very tasteful combination of piano, staccato strings, and a lot more reverb on the vocals, so it's a very intimate setup, kind of quieter than usual. When the last chorus hits, there's this huge contrast. It's like an explosion of sounds coming from all over. I'm using the same piano/pad as the one we reversed for the verses, with the vibrato and all. And the staccato strings were made with the short staccato string quartet preset, but I added this delay so it initially hits on the right side, then it bounces back on the left side. And they have a lot more dynamics than the other instruments in this song. To transition into the last chorus, I reversed that horn sound I just showed you, that stab, and now it sounds like this. And to make this last chorus really huge, the original production features a ridiculous amount of backing vocals sustained for a long time. I don't have backing vocals available, but we're gonna use pretty much every instrument you've seen so far to create this wall of sound like this. Alright, let's check out those drums now. On the pre-chorus, we have this groove with long kicks, short kicks, claps, closed hi-hats, and percussions. I feel like they really wanted to explore the syncopation on this song, and they did that with this kick pattern, especially when the kick skips the first beat and lands on the second beat instead. During the first chorus, they get rid of the drums, but then they introduce this snare that's just having fun there. Then they bring it all back, but it's a different pattern with the kick landing on different beats, and now we have some toms and extra percussions. Then they mix these patterns throughout the song, but what's really different is the last chorus. They used a different kick, which has a higher pitch, and now there's another snare on every second and fourth beat, layered with the usual clap. And I think they're using open hi-hats in the background, but it could be just white noise. Then they finish with a snare roll and reverse cymbals. There's a lot of processing and automation going on in my drums group. The chain starts with a glue compressor to glue everything together, some distortion in parallel made with the saturator, a bit of reverb, and these equalizers that I automated in many different ways as the song progressed. Now the vocals were compressed with iZotope Neutron, 2 different settings. Excited to generate high harmonics. DS with the RX9. Then I used a different dynamic equalizer for each section of the song, but with a dry wet knob of about 30% or so, followed by an equalizer where I automate some boosts and cuts during certain words. Then some delay throws made with Valhalla Delay, and a combination of 5 different reverbs and delays that I automate according to the section, Valhalla Vintage Verb and Valhalla Delay. The vocal chain ends with utility devices just for volume automation, bringing some syllables up to avoid masking by the instruments. On the master channel, I used Ozone Imager to widen everything except for the low frequencies. and Ozone Maximizer just to push the loudness a little bit. And this is the final result, but before you listen, make sure you have subscribed to the channel if you enjoyed this tutorial or learned some pop music production skills today.
Looking right, looking like all the stars are faded. I remember the night I was so frustrated. I touch your hand for the first time. I see it on your face then. Another lifetime's flashing by. I'm here, standing in the same dress. You're in your apartment. I'm already gone. When you left, I bet you held my body closer. And I was hoping you would tell her it was over. You think about it everywhere I look. I know it's bad, but we could be so good. Couple years flashing by, and I'm doing okay. In the back of my mind, all I hear is your name. I bet you're happy and that's fine, but I regret just one thing. I never got to change your mind. I'm here, standing in the same dress. You're in your apartment. I'm already gone. Talking wildly out of context. I wish things were different, but I'll never know. When you left, I bet you held my body closer. And I was hoping you would tell her it was over. You think about it everywhere I look. I know it's bad, but we could be so good. Maria calls me and she says she's getting married. She asked me if there's any extra